Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. Hi! In my last episode, I established the foundation principles for good service design. Making services easy to find, clear in purpose, setting expectations, enabling user outcomes, and minimizing steps. Also, we emphasize that service design is about conscious orchestration rather than just accidental evolution of services. So, what comes next? Basically, today we're going to move into how service designers are going to uncover these different problems and opportunities where you can improve in your current service. And over here, I'm going to base all of my episode on the crucial role of research, because research is going to be key for understanding both users and organizations. And then we're going to use some mapping tools in order to take this complex information and experiences into something that's visible and where we can take action in order to improve. So let's start. Service design, as I told you at the beginning, is going to require a bias towards action. But this is going to mean not just action of trying to improve a service by adding this new feature and then removing this other website here. This is going to be action that's based in reality, not assumptions or opinions. And I'm going to emphasize it over here because most of the times we're going to think that users think like we do. But actually, when we are the business owners, when we are the ones providing the service, is going to be a completely different perspective. Users aren't thinking of how many products they want to buy from you. They're thinking of how easy it should be to buy from you, for example. But as a business owner, you of course want people to buy more things from you, or you want them to also get to know this other product or go to this partner. So thinking of products based on your own information and your own assumptions is going to be the first step for having a very faulty service. And so this is what we want to correct. The key here is going to be doing a lot of research. And user research is going to be extremely valuable for this because it will help you build empathy with the people you are designing for and gain a genuine understanding of the practices and routines that they are taking or about what their expectations are. So it's going to be about devising different courses of action where you can change existing situations again into the preferred ones or ideal ones by framing the opportunity. There are going to be 4 types of user research that maybe you can try, and it depends again maybe on your budget, maybe on your time, maybe on the things that you can do. But if you are a business owner, if you are working in any company, or if you want to build your own startup, the first thing that you should do, and this you will listen to in every podcast that you'll hear, talk to users. But because it's the most important takeaway that you can have. Literally, if you're starting your own thing, or if you're trying to improve your business, even if it has been 10 years out there, you should always try to talk to users and talk to customers. So the first type of user research is going to be called desk research or preparatory research. And this is the starting point. It is going to involve reviewing existing data, maybe academic papers or reports from trends. And now you can do this with AI. You can even just do a deep research on your specific topic because you want to understand your client's perspective. And it's going to be less about finding answers and more about finding the right questions. You want to see what things you could potentially ask a user. The second type of research that you could do is called the self-ethnographic approach. And here, it means that you should take your shoes off from business owner or service provider and step into the shoes of the customer. So this is going to involve researchers immersing themselves in the experience. So maybe this might be trying out your competitors and seeing what they're doing. Maybe team members can experience the service as if they're doing them themselves. So All of this is going to try to create empathy because you are going to become the user. Then the third step, and this one is crucial. I know it's the longest and the hardest one to do, but it's doing interviews. Basically, seeing and hearing the customer. There's no other way of framing this. So for interviews, you can do different types. You can just do contextual interviews and participant observation. So sometimes you can see interviews where you're observing the users, trying to get the service, and this will help reveal some of the contradictions between what people say and what they actually do. Or other interviews that you can do are going to be in-depth interviews. And these interviews are going to be called usually empathy interview because you have to have open-ended questions. And what you want to have is people telling you about stories, telling you how they feel. You shouldn't be saying, this product is very good, right? Because if you're leading them into a yes or no answer, they won't tell you the truth. But you have to understand, why are they buying something? So if I am investigating into someone's routine, I can ask, what skincare routine do you do at night? And why do you do it? Is it every night or every other night? Do you do it for special occasions? Do you do it with your partner? You can start diving deeper. And the initial questions can be from things that you found in the first two types of research. So the ethnographic approach and the desk research. This can help you know what you should understand, because then the most important part is going to be diving deeper into the user. And probably you've heard this already, but there's a book that says The Power of Why, and it says that if you keep asking why, 5 times at least, you're going to get into the root of whatever the user feels. So if you're doing a random interview, what type of products do you buy? They can tell you blah, blah, blah. Why do you buy those? They will give you a reason. Oh, and why do you think that? And then, why do you think this will affect you? You just keep asking why, and this is going to help you understand, because you really want to know about this user, what the user is feeling. And so that's why they are called in-depth interviews. They may take a very long time, so they might take resources from you, like people are not going to be able to work as much when they are doing these interviews because they will be recording them, they will be analyzing the data later. This is going to be where most of the work will come. And also, one recommendation is that some people like doing it in focus groups. But I think there are some limitations to focus groups, and this is something that we saw in class because they often lack some situational context, and they can be biased because people, when they're in public, they're going to act or say different things from those that they actually think. So if you can, you should try to avoid focus groups and just do one-on-one interviews. Make sure that you can record them, or at least have someone else for note-taking if they don't want you to record it.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Because what happens next is that you're going to do a lot of data crunching over here. So your priority should always be collecting all of this raw data. Videos, photos, direct quotes. This is going to be called first ordered, but you can also try collecting second order information, which is going to be interpretations. But Either way, you have to get your own data. You shouldn't get it from other companies that are doing other types of research. You should be able to gather your own data. And then you know when you've done enough research, because the new research will no longer bring additional insights, and it will only start confirming the existing patterns that you're seeing. As soon as you start seeing this trend, you'll know that you're on the right place, and now is going to be time for analyzing. But also one extra thing that I should put over here is that make sure you have inclusive research. So when you're doing your interviews, don't just only interview male participants or a specific age range or specific nationality. You want to understand people from everywhere, people from all ages, different perspectives, and not even demographically, but also interests. So people who maybe wear a lot of makeup versus people who never wear makeup. You want to understand these two types of people when you're doing any type of research. And then for making sense of the data, you're going to have to use a lot of different models that we have. The first model is going to be a very popular one, that is personas. And so personas are going to be very rich descriptions of a fictional archetype that exemplifies a group of people. So after you already did all of your interview, you're going to start seeing some patterns, and you might group a specific group of people into a specific persona. But be careful here, because many people or many other podcasts that you might listen or audiobooks will tell you that personas are, for example, white, female, in this age range that has this job. This is going to be false. This is going to be a bad definition of a persona. A persona shouldn't be about its demographics. It should instead be like goals, situations, considerations, the environment, the issues, the challenges that this person has, and maybe like opportunities that they want. So you should never build your persona on age and gender. This is going to be incorrect. And that's why there are many jokes around personas that never work. Of course, they don't work if you do them badly. If you do them properly, they're going to be very useful because it's a way of grouping all your data. And this is going to help you identify common user needs. And maybe it will start creating a segmentation internally. Here, there is going to be a method that you can use for every persona, and it's a framework. As a, who is the user? What does the user want? So that, why does the user want to do it? If you can frame this sentence with these 3 points for all of your personas, then you'll know you have a correct persona. And here is where you'll get insights. And another consideration that you should have is that, of course, you should design for the average. Of course, you should be considering the big trends. But if you have some extremes in your data, you should also try to consider them as a possible persona. So on the edge of the curve, let's say, you'll have people that have very different ideas from the rest. You still want to consider these people. Why are them in the extreme edge of the curve? You want to know why these people are polarized into where they are, but of course, you're going to mostly be designing for the average. The second framework that you can use for analyzing data is going to be the jobs to be done framework. And this one is going to describe what a customer is trying to achieve with a service or product, and it will focus on their deeper motivation and desired outcome rather than just the service itself. Over here, I also have a framework that is going to be a little bit longer, but it says, when situation, I want to motivation, so I can expected outcome. And so again, it's going to be like a sentence. You can plug in the words based on your research, but this is going to move beyond the traditional user stories that we were exploring in the personas, because this is going to focus on specific target groups and all of the situations that all the users might experience. So if I give you one example of this one, instead of focusing on why a millennial wants notifications, you could frame it as, when I drive from my hometown to work, I want to be automatically notified about any traffic jams so that I can get to the office on time. Okay, so here I just filled out all of the blank words, and I'm being way more specific about a specific situation rather than just generalizing demographically and saying Gen Zers or millennials want this. So first you start with personas, then you'll do jobs to be done, and then the third framework that you can use for analyzing data is going to be service mapping of the customer journey. This one is going to be a very powerful tool to visually represent a service experience. And I'm going to show you one while I'm walking through it. But basically here you'll have 5 different steps. You have discover, which is when your user is trying to discover your service. Then engage, when you have first contact. You will also have obtain, when they're actually getting the service. Use, which is after. And then reuse, potentially, if the user is happy. All of this, we have to consider many things. First, we must consider what are the activities that are happening in each of the steps, which means what is the user doing in all of these steps. The second key part is going to be touch points, because touch points, or interaction points, however you want to call them, are going to be all of the steps in which the user is going to be interacting with your company for getting the service. So this will be super important. And after you get the touch points, then you should focus on the pain points. So try to identify in every point where the friction is. Friction is always going to be what we want to solve when we're giving a service, as you remember in my previous episode. So you should focus over here. And then you can think of possible solutions in how the emotions are when the user is reading this, because all of this will help you understand what you're doing. And so this last framework is actually going to be more of internal research, not external research or user research. Because after you already know the user, you have to know yourself, you have to know your company, you have to know the service that you're providing in order to improve it. And after you have all of these 3 frameworks, basically you already have the data to start designing. So in this episode, we saw into all of these essential phases of research and mapping and how to use all of the tools that I showed you to understand and make these services into more tangible things. So I hope this was useful. If you liked it, share it with someone else that also wants to learn about MBA concepts or about service design, and give me a review, because this helps me tremendously and it will help me reach more people throughout the world. Also, tell me in the comments if you found this useful, and I hope to see you next week, because we're going to keep talking about how you can refine your services into giving an outstanding service.